Hi friends, welcome back to another Team 10 video. Today the Nightmare mode has been released on C server, and here is our first look at how to do this and how to clear it. First up, when you come to the hard pedestal, you can see that the Nightmare mode has there's one more tab for Nightmare mode over here, and you can read the rules over here. So each instance for GTB costs 1 Nightmare mark, and for Drake it costs 2 Nightmare marks. And how you actually get the Nightmare mark is you get fragments from your daily instance clears. For today, my instance clears average me about 5 fragments per run, so I get 15 fragments from there. And second way you can obtain them is you can actually buy them from the exchange centers. You're able to buy the Nightmare crystals from the exchange if players choose to sell. So over here you can see one fragment goes for 1040 crystals, and you need 10 of them to synthesize to 1 Nightmare mark. Okay, let's look at the rules of the Nightmare modes. The most important thing to note here is that when you die in Nightmare mode, you cannot be revived using the normal means of resurrecting, which is the Priest Resurrect skill and the Leaf of Yggdrasil. In this instance, you have additional items that provide the resurrection skill using this Nightmare Leaf of Yggdrasil or Resurrection Scroll, which I'll talk about a bit later. Normal revival here means when you die and you see the resurrect button at the bottom right of your screen, and if you click that, this means your normal revival. So once you do a normal revival, you have a chance of a random equipment and whatever of their stats being broken. So this is one of the caveats of Nightmare mode. So the more you die, the less equipment you have. Leveling up the soul shop will actually increase the chance that your item will not break when you die. So let's take a look at what all this means. Let's go out to the shop, which is right by the hard pedestal, this Purgatory Merchant over here, and you go to Nightmare shop. So these are the additional items that you'll be able to use to resurrect your teammates. What we have realized between the four of us is that each player's item here can be different. So I may see Nightmare Leaf of Yggdrasil here, but another player may see like the box or the key, for example. So these items also drop in the instance mobs. So all the trash monsters that are before the boss, they also drop random items that can contain this. There are also some buff items. So here, this is the first method that you can resurrect your teammate. So this just works as the normal Eve of Yggdrasil. So you just use it on your teammate and you squat down and then you resurrect them. The other way that you can resurrect is this resurrection scroll over here. I happen to get it on a drop in the instance, and this allows you to resurrect in the dungeon and not have your item break. So when you die and you have this, you have the resurrect button and the resurrect in place button. So once you click the resurrect in place, it will consume this resurrection scroll and you do not lose your items. This concludes our 2 ways that you can resurrect in Nightmare mode without losing your items. Let's talk about what happens after you lose your items. So you go to soul buyback, you'll be able to see your broken items here, and you can click buyback to get back your item. The downside of this is each item takes 12 hours to buy back. So there's sort of like a cooldown mechanism in place so that you cannot put this dungeon on farm for 30 times per day, unless of course you have the means to clear it without dying. You have so much DPS. And here is what they mean by level up the shop. So when you level up this soul buyback, you will have increased the chance here of the strip immunity chance. We will aim to level this up as much as possible. What we have discussed so far is that you have to prioritize your weapons and your accessories if they are broken or stripped. Since accessories, most of us are on either the blue or gold accessories, we give us percent stats. Those should be the biggest contributor for our damage, and the armors are lesser. Although if you remember in the rules earlier, if your armor breaks, you lose whatever enchantment stats and I guess refined stats as well, and whatever awakenings that you get from those items. Now let's talk about general strategy. Although the card rate drops are increased and the GTB card is not so good for any of us, it's only good for mages, but since the Nightmare mode is a permanent thing and not a time-based event, Our strategy now is to actually farm the GTB instance to get as many email crystals as possible so that we can upgrade the strip immunity chance. Although if we are strictly going for cards, Drake card is definitely better because it's more expensive to sell as well, because most of the snipers and knights who are on fire enchant use this, and it's also good for MVP because it removes the size modifier debuff. The downside of doing Drake instance is that it requires 2 nightmare marks instead of 1. The instance is also harder, so there's a higher chance of you dying and then losing your items. For GTB, it's quite straightforward and you should be able to have it on farm. What we have read from the Taiwan server so far is that if you average of 600k DPS each player, you should be able to clear it with no problem. Okay, so that concludes our quick look at the Nightmare instance. I'll be doing a guide version of how to do the GTB and the Drake instance. For those of you who have seen our live stream earlier, we already completed the GTB instance on Nightmare mode, and off stream we managed to complete Corsair's cabin. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember, hit like if this video helps you. Stay subscribed, or subscribe if you haven't already, and see you guys in the next video.